Hey, David.
Hey, good morning.
How are you doing today?
I'm fine.
And then he dropped from the call. So let's wait a second while my amigo David is coming back into the call as he has the IntelliJ open for today's live streaming session. Let me just hit him up where he went off to.
Oh,
You're back. I
I'm
was
back.
missing you, buddy.
I was trying actually because I had I have an explanation for this. I was hearing myself on the background, and that's because actually we are doing something new today.
Oh, you had Twitch open. Yeah.
Exactly, and I had another tab with the tweets. And the new thing that we can announce that we can share this with our people. The new thing is actually that this time we are streaming to our usual channel in YouTube, but also we are streaming to Twitch this time. So we have a new channel, a new way to reach new people. So if you are interested, we can share with you this. Even though we are just testing it, we can share with you the our Twitch account. It's Hands on Axon. The funny thing is, in Twitch, the live stream has less delay. So that means that if you have a question, we will get to your question faster if you are in Twitch or in YouTube. But the downside of using Twitch is Twitch does not allow to keep the recordings for more than 14 days. So that means that if you want to go over the last episodes and maybe review something that is or we did in a previous episode, it's always safer to go to our YouTube channel and check on the playlist to watch the recording that you want. But
All right. So with that down, shall we take a look at what we've done in the last episodes?
yeah, let me share my screen. I had this already prepared, but okay. So remember that we are writing a conference tracker using Kotlin and trying to follow an approach based on event sourcing, event-driven architectures with event sourcing on CQRS and a little bit of DDD, which means that we will be prepared for scaling our module or our application into different modules when we need it. So basically, so far what we have is basically a REST controller that defines some endpoints to do the basic operations over a conference, like adding a conference or adding a conference edition, or actually requesting the list of all the conference that we have defined in our system. So this is the REST and controller, and then what we do is basically we have a model for the commands. Basically, this means that this is where we are defining all the state of our application. This is basically a command handler, an aggregate with several command handlers. The command handlers are basically receiving any of the commands that we have defined in our system. So far, we have the add conference command to create a new conference and add the add conference edition command, which basically is used to define a new edition, the edition of a year of a conference. Like, for example, having the Boxed Days Zurich, which is happening soon. And then that will be the conference, and the edition of 2024 will be a conference edition. So this is the two concepts that we are using. As we are using event sourcing, our command handlers basically validate the command, validate that the command can be processed And the next thing that we do is basically we create and we send an event, and that event is received in the event sourcing handler of the command model, which is basically the aggregate. And that means that this is the point where we modify the state of our aggregate, but also is received in the projection, which will be the query side. This is the projection is basically a component that is keeping track of all the information and tries to store that information in a way that is more aligned, that is more oriented to answering any query from the client side that we may receive. For example, so far we only have an endpoint that is going to request all the names of all the conference that we have defined so far. So this is basically what our projection does, is keeping the track of all the names of the conference that we have defined in our system. So this is basically what we have so far. In order to do this or to run this, we already told that we need some kind of infrastructure, which for us is Axon server, which is very convenient for us because it basically defines a message broker and also an event store, which is the perfect fit for this kind of applications that are using event sourcing and CQRS and DDD. So in these past episodes, I was using an Axon server that I was usually starting from the command line, and it took a little bit of time to start the Axon server. So the first thing that we are going to do this time, because I made a promise, right?
We did.
Do you remember that promise?
Yeah, you were gonna fix your Docker installation finally after way too long.
Exactly. That's basically because someone asked why I was not using, or if it was possible to use Docker to run Axon server. So basically, what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how you could do this. So if you go to the developer portal and you go to the Axon server product page, then you have here the download page, and in the download page you could either download a zip file to start Axon server from your command line, or here you have the instructions to start the Axon server. So what I'm going to do basically is I'm going to show you how I could run this, and for this is basically copying that command, and I'm going to, of course, use the latest Axon server version. So let's start this, and then
You already have one.
Okay, this is because
been
I
cheating.
already fixed my thing. So basically, that's because I already have the Axon server container defined here. So the only thing that I need to do is just start the Axon server, and then Axon server will run, and after that,
Yeah, it's definitely a lot faster this time. It runs with the ARM 64 architecture now, right? So it's not in compatibility mode.
exactly.
Yeah.
So now I have this, and then I have an Axon server already started, and then we can run our conference tracker. Let's do a quick check that everything is working fine. Oh, this is something that I have.
You probably have your other projects still running.
Yeah. I'm stopping them. Now, if I can start it again. Okay, now this is started, and if I connect here, I can see my application connected to the Axon server running on the Docker instance. And then if I, for example, make a request to get all the uh, conference that I have in my system, this is returning driven. This is just because I'm connected to an Axon server that has been started before.
Yeah,
So
so what has happened here? Let's recap. So you already had events in your event store and you just started an application that does not have a database. So
exactly.
this means that it doesn't keep any state. And now it starts, it finds the event store and it will replay all the events that are in there into your projection that you just shown and fill them into the map that we can query. So here we have one event that has been replayed into the memory of the application. If we would restart this application, since there's no persistence, it would happen again. And this is the power of event sourcing. We could change the projection or change the data store. I think that's what we're going to do in this episode anyway.
Yeah.
And we can use from the same truth of business decisions that we've made in the past, make new truths for our view. Because querying the entire event store for one query is not going to be scalable at all. So that's why we create the projections following the CQRS pattern, a command model and an event model. But David,
Let me.
Axon Framework 4.9 is out. And you know we now have proper support for Spring Boot DevTools Docker Compose, right?
Wow, that's good to know. So
Yeah, don't act surprised. I already told you. It's just for show.
actually, we already mentioned this in a previous episode that this was going to come out soon. So should that be the first thing that we are going to do today?
I think that would be cool so that if people check out this repository and start the application, that they immediately spin up Axon Server as well.
Yeah, because as developers, we always love to use the last thing, right? The last version of everything.
Yeah, because we like things to be broken. Nah, not true. There are no bugs in Axon Framework 4.9 at all. I promise you.
Okay, so let's close here all the tabs and let's start from scratch. So in order to change the Axon framework version that we are using, we should just come here to the POM XML file of our root project, the conference tracker, not the service one, the conference tracker, which is the one that defining the property. And then we just need to change this to .49, right?
.0.
.0. So with that said, let's try to refresh our Maven project.
And I think you already had a Docker Compose prepared, right? Feel free to cheat. I think most developers these days know what a Docker Compose is, right?
Yeah. I already have the new version here. So the next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to create a file that is called Docker Compose YAML file. And then, as Mitchell was saying, I'm not going to write, because I hate writing YAML files from scratch. I always forget a tab or something, and we don't want that to happen today. So I'm actually pasting it here to make sure that we don't have any typo. And basically, but we can explain very briefly what we have here, right?
So
go ahead.
Do you want to do it or should I?
Yeah, go ahead.
All right, so this is a Docker Compose file. And as you've just seen, Docker allows you to run containers, and Docker Compose allows you to, with one file, run multiple Docker containers that can connect to each other via a bridge network. So it's great to run an entire set of services at once, like Axon Server, Postgres, Redis, etc. So this is something that's very convenient. You can see that IntelliJ already has like some run icons in the gutter. So we could run it like this. But with Spring Boot 3.1 and Axon Framework 4.9, we can let Spring know that there's a Docker Compose, or actually it will detect automatically that there is one, and start spinning up the Docker containers before starting up Spring. So the beauty about this is that Spring automatically resolves the connection details of these containers that you've started, and then ta-da, you have a running application in any environment out of zero effort. So this is very cool. Now, this is probably where you can teach me, David, because I know of the existence of it, but I have never actually used it. Can you show me how it works? What do we need to change?
Do you mean to use the Docker Compose?
With Spring, yeah. I believe we need some additional dependency from Spring, right?
Yeah, but actually I haven't been using that lately, so maybe I'm a little bit rusted on that. So actually we have, let me check because I'm not sure right now. We should, you got me there, man.
All right.
Let me, because I was actually running that from the console, from the console.
Oh, okay. I thought you were running it via Spring.
No,
All right.
no, I was actually one thing. I was let me stop this Axon server, and I'm going to show you. And I was actually using this from. This is the conference tracker, and now we have the Docker Compose, and I usually do this using Docker Compose app daemon, and then I will see that I have a new container with the Axon server instance running here. So this is how I actually was using it.
All right. So let's include Spring Boot DevTools then and find out.
So let's add this dependency here, right?
I would add it to the, yeah, we can add it to everyone. Yeah, why not?
Because, well, we may use the service, but later we will probably be splitting this in different modules, right?
Yeah, but they will all use the same Docker Compose, right?
Yeah.
Because we will only be running Axon Server once.
Exactly. So then we should probably use Spring. But I don't remember the name of
Spring Boot minus DevTools.
the.
Yeah. And mark it as optional.
It's optional.
Yeah, so you can have an optional tag with true.
Optional. Okay.
Yeah.
Perfect. Let's move this. Or yes. No. I usually like to keep this ordered by group ID, so that's perfect. Okay. So next step.
I'm actually trying to find what the next step is. Docker Compose support is Spring Boot 3. Let's see. I'm here. Spring Boot start. Oh, yeah. So we also need a second dependency called Spring Boot Docker Compose.
Spring Boot.
Spring minus boot minus Docker minus compose.
Docker Compose.
See. Perfecto. That's it.
So we
now
mark it as optional too, or
sorry?
should we mark it as optional too?
Yeah, let's do that. And then there is a property that we need to add to our service. If you follow me, I'm in your editor as well. I'm in your code with me, so I can help you there. So now, once you have reloaded, there should be a property called spring docker.compose.enabled is true. And the file
Where are you exactly?
I'm in the application properties.
Okay. Yeah.
So if everything is all right, maybe we need to refresh Maven. Yeah, so it's resolved the properties now. Can you see it?
Yeah.
This should be enough to run the Docker for us, the Docker images. So when we start our application now, it should automatically start up everything and connect
Let
to
me
Axon server.
check that we don't have any Axon server started. So let's
Yeah.
stop this. There we go. And now we should not have anything. So now if we run the conference tracker service app, it should start the Docker Compose file, right?
Yeah.
Let's try to see here.
Sorry, what did you do? Oh,
I simply
started the, yeah, all right. Okay, I think you need to remove the dot dot slash in front of it because the run directory is the current root.
yeah.
Yeah.
So let's
All right, so you can see the container being created. What's happening now?
it's complaining that this but response is null. Post config. So we
No, it's not about the Docker Compose. It's about the fact that it cannot invoke the host network mode. Is host network node IP that contains. This is strange. Can you show me the Docker Compose?
Docker Compose should be correct because we actually started using the command file. Okay, if you let's try to move on and
Yeah. Too bad it
we
doesn't
can use
work
the
out of the
console
box.
and then check this for the next session.
All right.
Okay, so what we are going to do is we are going to
Yeah, so it is running. The problem is that it's
okay.
trying to inspect a Docker container, and for some reason it returns no response from your Docker daemon, so it cannot determine what the port is of the container to automatically connect with you.
Yeah.
And I find that very strange.
Maybe again it has something to do with the. Actually, I or maybe it's again has something to do with my local installation. But okay, let's try to see this and let's get
Yeah,
rid of
let's fix it for next time, but for the
let's,
people at home, this should normally be working out of the box if you have a healthy Docker installation.
yeah. So again, split response. Maybe we need to remove the dependencies or
Which dependency?
the dependencies on the DevTools.
Oh yeah, I would remove the properties. That's enough. It's disabled by default.
Actually, that's what I did.
Yeah, but you have
Okay,
to enable it.
I only committed one of them. So now, no.
So it automatically finds the file and enables itself. So let's indeed remove the dependency.
Let's
Sometimes Spring is a little bit too smart.
Yeah. Let's remove this for now. Let's check Maven. And then let's start. something weird is happening. Probably let's stop this and let's try to start it from the console. Docker compose.
Yeah, so you probably haven't initialized your Axon server yet, so there is no context.
No, actually it was.
You removed the container, right?
Probably it's because it's a different container. Maybe
Yeah.
that's it. Yeah, let me check something. That's exactly what was happening. Probably that's why somehow the Spring Boot application couldn't connect to the defined port on the Axon server instance. So let's should we do a last try? Maybe that's what.
No, I don't think it has to do with that. So let's not to waste time. We'll investigate that in our outside of the stream.
Okay. Well, then now we should be. Oh, actually, it was running. It was. Okay, so we are now connected and running. So far we haven't done anything more than moving to using a Docker image of Axon server. So what's the next thing that we should be doing?
So one thing you want, David, is to test your business logic. And because we use domain-driven design together with our messages, we can be really explicit about what happens in our application or should happen. Yeah. So we can create really nice unit tests. And honestly, I would love to show that.
Okay, so let's do that. And for that, the next thing that we need to create is just a directory for our test. This will be the test. And then let's create our first, that's going to be my first Kotlin unit test, right?
Can I teach you another IntelliJ trick?
Yeah, go ahead.
All right, go to the if you go to the aggregate class for me.
Okay, yeah.
And then you can probably
I know what you are going to do. Yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, if you open the class, now you can press Command-Shift-T. Create a new test. And it will automatically create the package structure and everything for you. Okay. And yeah.
So let's start with just the first test, right? We will be adding more later.
Sure.
Then, okay.
I don't think we have any testing library in our class path then. Yeah. I think we need to introduce Spring Boot starter test.
Exactly. Let's do this on our home file and then add Spring Boot test. And then, is there anything specific that we need to configure for testing in Axon, or
are you sure it's Spring Boot test and not Spring Boot starter test?
Oh, sorry. Yeah, true. Starter.
And also, it would be nice to then.
Let me do it again.
Spring Boot test then.
Oops.
No, it is Spring Boot starter test of org.springboot.
Started. Yeah, but the auto completion wasn't working. So.
All right, and then we can give it the test scope as well for.
Yeah, true.
I don't know. I don't need JUnit in production.
True. And then, is there anything else that we need for testing with Axon Framework, or are we going to write a regular unit test for Spring Boot?
No, we also need the Axon test dependency. The Axon test dependency includes text fixtures, which will really help us to develop a nice unit test.
Axon version.
I believe we use the bomb, right? So you shouldn't need to declare a version.
Actually, that's true. I don't know why
Can you give this a test scope as well? Maybe that will help.
that's true. Okay, so let's refresh our Maven project. Then we have both testing libraries, and then we can go back to our.
Did it actually resolve the Axon test library?
I
Did it
think
work?
so, yeah.
Okay, interesting. Because I don't see the gutter icon for that it's by another bomb. But, yeah, okay. That's nice that it works.
Okay, so let's go back to the conference test, and then here we have our test, which is a counting class. And what's the first thing that we should do?
So testing.
We were thinking about something that was called a test fixture. That is something important for Axon, right?
Yeah, correct. So for your aggregate, you can create a test fixture. You can do it for your Saga as well. And on that fixture, you can define what happened before and what you expect on the next action.
So that should be a late init bar with the test fixture, right?
It can just be a val, actually, I believe.
It's right. And this is of type test.
Aggregate test fixture, the other way around.
Of type. This is where we need to put the aggregate that we are testing, right?
Yeah.
Which is the conference.
It's easiest to just make this the constructor and remove it as a type. So val test fixture is.
So that will mean that this is going to be filled by.
No. Please put it. If you put it back, it's not a constructor parameter because it's not a Spring service.
Yeah.
But what I mean to do is. I started following you for some reason. Is this. And then we don't even need this. This is how we get a test fixture.
Okay. And this is going to be created, the same text fixture for all the tests that we are running. Right?
Yes.
And this is going to be shared. It could be equivalent to have the before class annotation here, right?
Yeah, it's the same. It's shared in the same way as an immutable object. It's a definition, and then we create another definition from that and from that. So it doesn't conflict using multiple times.
Okay, but that means that the aggregate text fixture has no state between tests. I mean,
no. Well, a little bit. You can define services on it and stuff like that that will be used during every test. But we don't have any at this moment in time.
Okay. Okay, then our first test will be, let's try to test what happens or how the first command, which is the add conference command, is handled, right?
Yeah, let's do that.
Test conference, add conference command handling. Probably the test name could be a little bit better, right? But
did you know that you can do something like this in Kotlin?
Oh, that's similar to kind of to a spoke or things. It's more.
So you can really create a sentence instead of the camel casing and you getting lost in the 25th.
And that will be probably more helpful when a test fails or we have any kind of problem, because the actual name is giving more information about what happened, right?
Exactly.
Okay, so the next thing is we will need to actually do something with this test fixer, right?
Yeah. So
Let me reorganize that.
oh,
Yeah. Hold on. Just there we go. Okay, for that, we can use the test fixer. And what do we want to test actually?
well, we can test it if there was no prior activity. So there's actually a method for this. Given no prior activity, that means that there weren't any events for this aggregate in the past.
Yeah.
And then we can say when. So the when means like we execute an action. So the tests always have given, when, then.
Yeah.
Given no prior, when we send the command, we expect an output. And that's really nice in the aggregate testing. You can really test your input. Your input is your prior events, then a command, and then the output. You can also test a sequence of commands without knowing the prior events. So what you're testing is the contract of your aggregate and not the internals of it. So we don't test the state. We test the input and the output. It's a black box.
Yeah.
We just care about the behavior.
Yeah, that's usually the good practice on testing. Just try to structure all the tests the same way, right?
Yeah, because I'm always really frustrated when I want to refactor a piece of code and it behaves the exact same way, and now I have to fix 200 unit tests.
Yeah.
Right?
And also structuring the test cases like this will somehow. I've always thought that this some kind of documentation or on functional documentation on how certain components work. Because if you structure the test like this, it's very clear to say, okay, how this command handling function works. And then you see, okay, when you have no prior activity, then you receive this, then you expect this. So this is kind of a first, if you have a good set of tests, of unit tests written in this, following this structure, is always very easy to, or is the first place to try to understand how a software component works. So then we have the given, the when. The when is basically when we receive.
So here we run into a little roadblock with Kotlin because when is also a keyword, so we have to escape it.
Okay. And then we need to specify the command that we want to receive, right?
Yeah.
So this is basically adapt conference command, and let's create a conference command and a sample of conference command. So the conference command will be given. This is something, one thing that I have always tried, because there is a lot of people using things like test event. And I always hate this because I always prefer when a test has a meaningful name, because actually it will be closer to a real case use scenario. So let's do this, which is a real conference name. And actually, as I don't remember the order of the commands, let's do this. And then we have an owner email to be me this time. And then we can have, which was the website, which is what else did we have? Conference location. Let's try to split this here, and then conference location. Oh, what's location? conference location, and conference location has city, which is Amsterdam in this case, country, which is months, online, which is false in this case. I don't know if we have to import this. And then, is there anything else that I'm missing? Name, website, location, family. Owner email.
Yeah, family is not there.
Okay, so family. So we assume. Do we need to assign to null, or can we just skip it?
Sorry, what do you mean?
Do we need to specify the family is null, or can we?
Yeah, we do, unless we change it in the constructor of the data class. Then we can specify to be null if it's omitted.
Okay, so that should be if we put this.
So you can put it is null, and then you don't have to specify it in the constructor call.
Okay. Okay, so we already have this, and then when we receive this conference command, then we need to create the spec. And this is going to be the assertion, what we need to check, right?
Yeah, definitely.
So can I try first, and then you can correct me if I'm wrong with something, if I stuck with something? Because I have the feeling that I'm going to stack at some point.
All right.
So I will use the spec events, because that's actually what we need to try from our aggregate, is that when we have nothing, or we don't have anything, any previous activity, if we receive an add conference command, the behavior of our aggregate should be that the aggregate is sending a new event, that the event was actually added, right? So I would say then we need to check that we have received an event, and the event should be the conference added event. And then for the conference added event, I should say that, of course, the name should be Devon, the website should be the location should be same conference location that I have defined.
Yeah, you also made a typo in the driven, right? Yeah, compared to up, that's different.
True.
It's easier to copy paste, David.
So, and then the family is null. But let me write this, because I think that I'm getting to the point that I'm going to get stuck. Because the problem is that the conference added event also has an ID, right?
Yeah, a conference ID.
So conference ID. But we discussed this before, and we already said that it's better that the conference ID is assigned and created inside the conference handler. So in this case, I cannot say, I don't know which is the conference ID, or what the conference ID would be. So how can I check this? Because if I put something here, like a random ID,
Let's test it.
the test is going to fail, right?
You first need to add owner email as well.
Okay, true. Then if I run this, this is going to fail, hopefully. So what can we do in order to avoid this, Mitchell? Is there any other way that we can match the...
So we want to make sure that the output of the event is okay. But like it's saying here, we have a conference ID of 29FA57. I'm not going to say the whole thing out, but it's definitely not triple D, right? Well, we want all the other properties to match to make sure we didn't mess our aggregate up. So let's try something. I'm going to escape this for a second. We do have a expect event matching. So this provides more of a fuzzy matching thing. We can say exact sequence of to make sure that there is an exact sequence. And now we can make a list of matchers. So matchers dot equals deep equals, right? Yeah. So now we have a deep equals. Now it will still fail because it's still checking all the fields, but we can make a field filter.
Okay.
So with this field filter, we can ignore a field, and we can say here we want to ignore a field of conference edit event, and it's called conference ID.
Okay. So basically, the ignore field is a second, or the field filter. The ignore field is a field filter, and that field filter is basically a second parameter that we can pass to the. Sorry.
Yeah. And let's see. It still says that there is a difference. Message identifier. Let's see.
Yes. Hold
on. There's a. I think I know why. We need a matchers.payload matching. This takes a list of matches. So we are not comparing the entire event. We're just comparing the payload of the event.
Okay.
See, list matcher, external list matcher. And this needs to be a list of. So normally one of the first things I do in my project is to create some shorthand methods for this, right? Because it's just...
Yeah, two verbose, probably.
Yeah. My IntelliJ with the code with me doesn't show why there is an error. Can you show it?
Yeah. No, it's not. Okay.
It's because of this.
Hold on.
So the expect event matching extends a matcher for a list. Wait. The payloads matching takes a matcher.
And now I think that we have.
So this is my frustration with code with me, that it doesn't always.
Hold on. I'm going to. Yes. Let's try to do this. Okay, now I was trying to see that we have. Actually, this is. Okay. I think that we had.
Yeah, let me look it up because it's supposed to be pretty easy, but I just forgot it, to be honest. And this is something you do once every project and then you copy paste it, honestly. Yeah. All right. Let me do it like this. Let's try again. So we have the expect events matching. We want the exact sequence of. And then we want the deep equals. And then we are back to where we were, right?
Yeah, but now it compiles. Okay, should we run it?
Yeah. Normally you do something like this as well, matchers.end no more.
Okay, just to get sure that no other event has been
expect event matching, payloads matching. Yeah, all right. That's what we were missing. Match the payloads matching. This is the one we were missing. All right.
Okay. So we run it.
Yeah, let's do it.
So it passed.
It passed. Nice. So we successfully ignored this field.
Yeah.
So can we just prove that this still works? Can we change some other test assertion? Like let's put my name here, Mitchell. Now it should feel
Oh,
right because the
let's
property
do
doesn't
something
have.
else. Let's broke our code because actually you don't play around with the test. Let's see the test.
Fair enough.
And then let's break our code. Let's say that the location or the owner email is something weird, like, so we are actually doing something else. Let's run again our test. I was running it, right? Yeah. And now it fails
Yeah, cool.
because the published events do not match the expected event, and it's giving us exactly.
Nice. Yeah.
Okay.
So now I want to show you another one because this is really simple, right? This is a really simple command handler. Shall I show you one failing one? Like, shall we test like a test condition, like in the aggregate, right? Like the second command, the new addition validates whether the user is actually the owner email.
Mm-hmm.
Shall we do that one?
Yeah, because actually this is where the validation could fail, and
Yeah.
we can actually try that an event is not generated when the validation works, or when the validation fails, right?
Yeah. So let's put it test can not add conference edition if not the owner.
Okay.
See?
Yep.
All right, so now it's going to be a little bit different. We have the test fixture dot given a list of domain events. And our domain events will be the conference edit event. Right? Because let's generate a nice ID here. Not on owner conference that we will use as the ID for the aggregate. Now this will initialize the test fixture, and now when we send in an add conference edition command, we will send in that what the ID is. So the conference ID is the ID. The year is 1994 because that was my birth year. The start date is local date dot of 1994 01/29. That's my birthday. Why does it not accept my birthday? It does. The end date is on the same day because only my day is. Oh, there is no end date. All right. Venue. It's venue location. It was the St. Clara Hospital. Somewhere. And we have the owner email. And now, Dave created this, but I wanted to add this addition, so I will put mitchell@gmail.com. Now, if we do this, this will trigger our validation, right? The owner email is not correct compared to the state that we have defined before. So we expect an exception. And we can actually, let's see, what was it? expect exception. Let's make it easy on ourselves. Expect Dave is the owner. Now when we run this should, well, probably the message is not exactly
No,
okay.
that's not. Yeah.
But I'm just going to be lazy and copy paste it from the actual output.
Yeah.
So you see, we expected Dave is the owner, but the message was user is not authorized. So let's put that in here. And we also expect no events. Because we also expect no events to be published from this command because we've rejected it. So this is how you can, in very detailed, you can test your business logic based on the business of your the language of your business, using messages, using commands and events.
And actually, another thing that I will remark in this scenario is that the given part of the test is not stating any command that was issued before, but the events that were issued before. So that's another point in which we can see how event sourcing is working. Because for us, the pass is not about the commands that were sent before, but the events that we have in our event store, right?
Yeah, but if you want, David, it can, because there is a given commands, and I've used that in the past as well. It's quite nice. So now we can say we've had an add conference command in the past. Now we add a conference edition command with different data, and now we just care about the commands, not even about the events that set the state.
Yeah.
So it depends on what you want to test.
Yeah, probably testing based on the previous events is more oriented to the fact that we are using event sourcing here. Probably using the commands is more more oriented to what the business language is using.
It depends on what you want. Just know that both are available. It's failing here because the ID didn't match. I just wanted you to show that it's possible, but you do need to understand the ID that has been generated before. So there are workarounds for that, but we don't have time to go into that today.
Yeah. Okay, we are reaching the end of the hour. I think, should we leave it here?
Or... Yeah, unless you think we can implement an entire Postgres database projection in 2 minutes.
I will probably leave that for a next day. So
yeah, that sounds like it sounds like we've covered great grounds. We have shown something more of the aggregate and the aggregate testing. We've shown the Docker Compose, and yeah, I hope people learned something.
Yeah, hopefully. And again, as we always say, if you are, well, remember that this is going to be uploaded to our GitHub repository, so you can actually test and download the code, but you are encouraged to try it yourself. So, and actually on the next episode, we will be trying to add some persistence. Now that we have Docker, it's probably going to be easier to add a database, right? Because we could
definitely we can add many databases.
Yeah, and we just need to declare another service in our Docker Compose, right?
Yeah, true.
Okay, so let's leave it here for now. And again, remember that if you have any request or any specific question or thing that you will love to see how it's implemented, just send us, ping us on Twitter or on Mastodon, or just send us your suggestions, and we will try to add it to the next episodes, right?
Yeah, definitely. We would love to hear from you. And with that, we wish you a nice weekend. Don't do anything too crazy that I wouldn't do. And hopefully see you in 2 weeks.
See you.